All right, 40 minutes after 6 o'clock. Welcome back inside the Now Morning Show. This morning we continue. I told you guys we'd be talking a little bit about security this morning. And one form of security people have been advocating for is pepper spray. And this morning I want to chat with Dirk Ramden, an attorney at law, as well as Jason Maharaj, the CEO of Jay's Dynasty, about the importance of pepper spray. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning. How are you? Good morning, Trinidad.
Trinidad and Tobago. Good morning, sir.
I'm good. So let me start with you, Jason. I want you to break down for me what pepper spray is exactly.
Okay. Well, basically, pepper spray is basically used as a form of defense against attackers to immobilize the attacker and gives the victim an opportunity to flee the scene or for survival. All right?
Right. Is it lethal?
Right now, it is legal, but it needs certain permissions.
Not legal. I know it's not. It's kind of legal, but we can't really kind of use it yet. But is it lethal? Can it kill somebody if you get too much pepper spray? Would it scar you for life? Would it damage you for life? Would it kill you?
Well, it depends on what part you've been sprayed at, because it affects the eye, the nasal cavity, pulmonary parts, and the gastrointestinal parts of the body. So it affects all those parts of the body for the attacker.
So ideally, you don't want to get sprayed with pepper spray, so you shouldn't be doing things for people to have to spray you.
Exactly.
Mr. Ramden, tell me about the laws currently existing in TNT surrounding pepper spray.
Well, the previous law under Section 2 of the Firearms Act of 1970, Chapter 1601, the use of pepper spray was deemed a prohibited weapon. However, the act was amended, and the purpose of the act is to incorporate provisions within the Firearms Act, Chapter 1601, as mentioned, to regulate the use and possession of pepper spray in Trinidad and Tobago, including inter alia, its manufacture, importation, distribution, and sale. Now, the act was passed on the 11th of May, 2021. The Honorable Minister Fitzgerald Hines would have passed the regulations on the 3rd of August, and up to last Friday, the order dealing with the specifications of pepper spray was laid in Parliament. So we're almost there, ready, Trinidad and Tobago, in terms of the legal use of pepper spray.
So what else needs to happen?
Sorry?
What else needs to happen, Mr. Ramden, to cement it? Like, what is the little bit that has to happen again?
Well, basically, as my colleague Jason mentioned, even though the legislation has been passed, Jason would touch on this. There are specific types of pepper spray that can only be brought in with the permission of the Commissioner of Police. I don't know if Jason would want to expand.
Go ahead, Jason.
Basically, not all pepper spray would be allowed to be purchased when the provisions are released. We have special sizes in the Act. We have special types and concentration of the Scoville units. So, for instance, the size of the pepper spray is no less than 2 ounces and no more than 5 ounces. All right? The strength of it, the Scoville units, must not exceed more than 5 million. All right? There is a 5% to 10% strength of the pepper spray. And it must come in as a mist, spray, or fogger.
Right.
So these are the regulations parts. Even though you get permission, you have to follow these regulations to purchase pepper spray, the correct type, strength, and everything like that.
Right. Is there a problem with that?
Well, this is what was stated in the regulation passed by Minister Fitzgerald Hines.
Right.
So you must have these specifications when purchasing, when allowed to purchase.
All right. And you're saying this is good, bad? How you feel about it?
Well, there's a criteria. In other words, not anyone can be the holder of pepper spray. So, for example, one of the qualifying aspects is that you have to have a good certificate of character, because you don't want pepper spray being in the hands of, elements that may be up to no good. So Under the Act as well, it allows for an individual over the age of 16 with parental consent to be the holder. And also, Jay, I don't know if you want to also expand on some of the other aspects.
Yeah. As Dick said, 16 years and over with parental consent, and everyone over the age of 18 would be allowed to own a pepper spray with a clean certificate of character.
So if I go to a store to try and purchase pepper spray, when stores are allowed to bring it in and have it in the store based on the criteria, I would have to go with a certificate of good character in order to be able to purchase this? Or is it only going to be able in specific places, just like you would have to buy, let's say, a gun, a firearm? You can only buy it by licensed people who are allowed to sell, etc.
Well, it would depend on people must apply for an import license through the Commissioner of Police, import, manufacture, and sale. So those people who would apply for the import license would therefore be able to sell pepper spray.
Right, but I'm asking as a consumer.
I would just like to touch on that aspect. Under the Act, any person involved in the manufacture, sale, importation, exportation, etc., must obtain the requisite permit first. And I must commend the government. It's a responsible and beautiful piece of legislation in the sense that contravention is an offense of either one, summary conviction, $250,000 fine and 5 years imprisonment, or two, indictment, $750,000 and 15 years imprisonment. So, it's really serious business.
Mr. Ramden, that is basically if you get caught using pepper spray wrong?
Importing and illegal usage, yes.
Interesting. Is there a limit on how much a person can purchase? Not importing, not importing. Like if they, as a consumer, is there a limit in the Act as to how much one person can have on them at a time?
Well, there is, under the Act, it compels the Commissioner of the Police to establish what you call a pepper spray registry. So it's similar to firearms. So under that registry, whether a person is allowed one or two canisters, the fact of the matter is they will be recorded and registered and monitored by the Commissioner of Police.
That's very, very interesting because, you mentioned before that parents can give this to children as well. So if I have a parent and I have certificate of good character and I go and buy my pepper spray and I give it to my 17-year-old or my 16-year-old, how do we, well, I mean, the law says you can only give it to up to 16, right? But as a parent, if I am concerned, how do we regulate me not giving it to my child as a safety measure?
Well, I guess that is where the term parental consent comes in. So, bottom line is, as a parent, if you are of the view that your 16-year-old, let's say, for example, is in university, female or male, it doesn't matter. They have to walk from different campuses or sections or whatnot. And you are of the view that, because of the reality in Trinidad and Tobago, the crime situation, you would feel more comfortable when you are sleeping. Most of these students rent away from their homes. And you are also of the view that, your child is a responsible, mature child. I would really see no issue in preventing and giving your child the opportunity to defend him or herself.
But I feel like it leaves room as well for some questions because, suppose this child ends up in a situation where in a roadblock or whatever and the police search them and find pepper spray. They have to now call their parent to make sure that they get consent, or how does that adjust?
Well, I think that in terms of the order that was laid and the regulations, I don't want to say something that is not in reality, but I would assume that the government would cater for the holder of pepper spray to have a license on them, similar to a driver's license.
But then you mentioned that the parent can give it to the child. So is it that when you go to get your license, you get an extra one for your child as well, or you get something that you can give out as well? I feel like I have questions we still need to clarify,
Well, what we assume or we're supposed to happen is that once you give parental consent, the child will have like a separate from the parent. So they will have their own with their permit to carry, and the child will have, with parental consent, the permit for them to carry. So in that sense, it's not just a use and borrow. Anybody could pick it up and go.
Yeah.
But the person who is carrying it will have permission. And as Dirk rightfully said, the law is very strict and acts as a deterrent for those people who want to do the illegal thing and,
well, over the
have it illegally.
years, one of the beautiful things about this country is that we see lots of laws laid down, but sometimes they aren't always enforced. So I think that's where the challenge is going to come, with making sure that it's enforced properly. But I thank you, gentlemen, for joining us and for sharing this information. Basically, we're saying that we could treat pepper spray as serious as you would treat a gun.
Okay.
Basically.
Yes.
I want to thank you so much,
well.
Jason and Dirk, for joining us this morning and sharing this information. Take care.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thanks a lot. Enjoy the rest of it.
All right, guys, pepper spray might be coming soon. And it's serious. It's as serious as owning a firearm. Yeah. All right. All right, guys. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we have more Inside the Now Morning Show. Please stay tuned.